Good morning, everybody. It's Marty, the JavaScript party. It is Monday, March 30th. Whoop, whoop. And it's probably like 50 degrees outside. I'm not sure. I'm running late this morning. It is already 8:46. I usually try to wrap these videos up at 8:55. Many times I go long, but I start work at 9, so it's like it's always good to start at you it's always good to kind of wrap this up at like 8:45. I mean, at like 8:55 gives me time to upload the video and everything. Um, but anyways, so we are working on unit tests and trying to just really lock in this understanding of our code base. And it's kind of funny because like yesterday I was sort of going back and forth because I know that there's I think I've found like 90, literally 9 out of 10 times. Let's just start this thing up. 9 out of 10 times when I run things, PM run test, um, or when I run into the ng0200 issue, it is like I just need access to some sort of function. And I think I even say the word, but I didn't know what the word meant. So I've been saying this word. I've heard this word, been hearing this word since the 90s, the mid 1990s. I've been saying the word. There's been times where I understood what the word meant, but then I've forgotten, and then understood, and then I've forgotten. And then actually, it is the right solution. And I even said the right solution, but I didn't understand the right solution. And that's that sometimes I just need access to a static function. And I did not know what a static function was. Um, but and I think I've said that and then gone and created then I went and created this whole other three animation class, which really is just literally just a bunch of pure what you would call pure functions. But this is probably not the best way to do this. I think the better way to do this would be, so I guess I didn't do it the same way. Um, three animation class. Oh, I guess, oh, because animation didn't have. Okay, actually, animations is not a good. So I guess this is okay. But the general idea is that sometimes, like, let's go into camera service, for example. See, camera service is made up of two things, some attributes up here and then some behaviors, these functions. But there's actually a third kind of thing you could have in here, and that is static. I think you could say static. I never, literally never done this before, or at least not purposely. Yeah. So I can make this a static function. And then what that means is that I can then just get an instantiation of this class. I mean, I can just get a reference to this class, and then I can have access to this function. There's no reason to create another class completely and all that. So that was one thing I kind of learned because I was going back and forth with ChatGPT yesterday. And then the other thing that I learned is that there is, so 9 out of 10 things can be solved by this, just adding the word static in front and then getting access to functions that way instead of by using inject. So that's literally 9 out of 10 of those go away. Now, one out of, or so of the 10 that would be less, so let's say there was 100, it'd be 90 out of 100. There's still 10 broken. I think 9 out of 10 get handled by just like a deferred de dependency. So like just adding the dependency afterwards would solve that problem. You add the dependency afterwards, and everything works. And not only that, but that would actually even fix this three animation or this issue too. Or the static class thing too would be fine once you got something deferred. But apparently, when you defer like that, in some instances, and there are instances that I can't contrive, but I could definitely guess would happen, is you could have services that include chains of other services and things like that, and then the dependency can happen only when the function is executed. So you know how I was using the injector, and then within the function, I was actually getting a reference to that. Apparently, to a service. Apparently, that in that situation, you can create a chain of interdependencies that end up causing the ng0200 error to show up. And if it shows up in that, it could be damn near impossible to figure out how to replicate the problem. And then alternatively, it can also be extremely difficult to even to debug it. Um, and so it's like, you know how I was complaining that, oh, this ng0200 issue doesn't show up when you transpile, so that's why it gets past the E to E, or that's why it gets past the gates in CI/CD. You also don't um, it that like at least when you get the high level one, like what I've dealt with, you end up um, let me reload this. You end up So when you get the high level one, at least the whole application won't build, right? So you don't like immediately, at least when you go to the application. Well, if you start injecting things at the function level, you can end up with that, but only when they hit that function. And 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 it would probably be like in some cases, if you went to one page first, then the injector already has it, so you don't set it up. But if in other cases, uh, it during runtime while you're just bouncing around, it happens. Or sometimes if you go another path to something, you would have it happen. So it could be almost impossible to debug. It very likely to get past end-to-end testing, just all kinds of crazy stuff. So we don't. That's probably like a really good path to avoid of like function level injecting of dependencies. Um, so I did like sort of elevate it up um, to this, and I do like this better, where you create a class that has your deferred dependencies in it. Um, and then I was pretty critical because basically what ChatGPT wanted me to do was do do the dependencies, set up the dependencies after um, or on init, after init, not in the constructor, and not here. Like to do it here, it said it would be safer, and I was like, "What do you mean safer?" And that's what it means is like at least if you do it at this level and it breaks, you're going to at least break when the component, it's going to break at least when you're trying to construct the component. It won't just break randomly when it's being used. Um, so, kind of need to tread carefully. I do kind of like this though, um, because I suspect at least if you do hit the ng0200, at least it's going to happen in this class. And so you'll know it's about deferred dependencies. Um, but maybe it would be better to actually create like a variable that is this and get a reference to it early on. Um, you kind of got to hope that they don't change anything. Anyways, I think the most important thing for me to kind of keep in mind is that I have been hearing the word, the words, static functions for decades, right? For 30 years, I've been hearing those words, and it just was right over my head. Um, so I definitely want to move more to that. I think the animation class actually isn't, again, I sort of guessed that I was making this sort of as a support thing. So like sort of as a more complex abstract way of creating static functions. Um, but that is actually not the case. It's that there was no ST concept over here. So since that ST concept didn't really exist, um, we it made sense to create it as a class, and it actually made sense to make it as a non-injectable class because it doesn't really do have any state. It just knows how to do things. So last, I guess now that I think of that, I'm thinking like maybe if we started from scratch again, and I do absolutely do not think that this is enough to start to throw away the work that's been done. Um, it probably would make sense instead of these three things being like sort of these injectable classes, it might have made sense to actually make all these functions static classes within the three animation. But I guess not. Actually, now I'm backing out of that right now. And it's because the reason I think it's better to do this is because it's just such a nice, clear separation of concerns. So like a lot of times you just have like art, you have um, concerns that are not okay. What do I have different now in here? You have concerns that are not. You have different architectural concerns that don't agree with each other. That is not unusual. All right, so I'm out of time, so we're not writing any code today, but I do not even remember what we were working on, so at least we can set ourselves up for success tomorrow. So I only have one test running. I don't know what it is. Let's see. I think we have to mouse over. So it's at app update layout component. Should initialize the component. I think if, oh, okay. So it's this guy right here. For some reason we were over here. Oh, and it's because, yeah, we didn't have coverage. Let's go ahead and look at our coverage and kind of just set ourselves up for success tomorrow. Let's come over here. Okay. I don't even remember. So what was it saying? It was saying that it was backpack over here, app menu component. No, three animation glass. Oh my gosh, what did I do? Well, we know that's going to be an individual. Did I actually, maybe it's just the name of the function. I don't know. Okay, that's good. So that was just in here. I thought I renamed the whole darn thing. Okay, so in here in three animations class, let's, I think it's V over here. If I put, I wonder if I've never tried to use this filter before. So let's say VL. No, three animations. Is this three animation class spec? I think it's this one right here. And I guess I should get rid of, so this is the right place, but for some reason, I guess actually, yeah, let's do that. Let's just do this. So I did, so at one point in the past, I was like very much about like, I want to be able to unit test things, and I want it to be able to get 100% unit test coverage in its own test. Um, so as you see, like in this thing, three animation class.ts. Yeah, that's this one. So when I create this class, nothing gets tested. It doesn't test a darn thing. So a lot of this gets tested when you test other functions. So we probably should try to get 100% on this class because I think this is actually a super important class. And like it, I feel like this is a bit sloppy. Like this should probably be its own little function that gets called. And yeah, this you could tell I just did not show this thing any unit test level. And I guess that does make sense though, because I think we built it. We haven't even committed. This is on completely uncommitted code, I think. Like, or unmerged code, I guess is the right word. But anyways, I gotta go. Happy coding, everybody. Bye.